How's it going, everyone? This is Bowmanshoota, starting a new series called Esports Meditation. That's going to be covering different topics in the esports scene. Most of these are going to be my opinion, but I'm going to do my best to base it around facts and figures that I find out in the scene or from personal experience. To give a little background on myself, I used to be involved in the competitive gaming back into the 2003 to 2006 era. For a small community, which I'm not going to say right now, mainly because I'm going to go into some of the behind-the-scenes details of that community today with our topic. And I was a player and also an admin and a little bit of a referee for some of the tournaments that happened within this community. The community was, and to kind of give you an idea back in this time, for some of you that are younger, this was an exciting time. This was before YouTube. This was way before Twitch. This is, a time where, if you wanted to watch a match, you had to just spectate it in game. To where results of matches where you took a screenshot of the final score screen and you posted it in the forums on the tournaments, and then the standings were updated. And the community I was part of actually grew fairly rapidly over its first couple years. To kind of give you an idea, back in 2003, when the community was just kind of getting started, we had close to like 120 members. And by 2005, which is where the majority of today's video is going to be dealing with, we were over 8,000 members, which doesn't seem like a lot in today's standards where you have millions of people involved in certain communities. But considering, we started out with a small niche in Unreal Tournament 2009, and then by 2005 we grew into over 8 different games with tons of tournaments. And it was very exciting for us that were involved, and it had the potential to go places. And yes, the community is still around today, which is another reason why I don't want to mention the actual community, because I don't want to badmouth them, because I love to being a part of them. But we are going to get into some of the nitty-gritties as far as today's topic involving that community. And today's topic, of course, as you can see, is esports sponsors and advertisers, because that seems to be a hot button topic currently, with a lot of venture capitalist money and bigger names getting involved in the esports scene, and putting their money where they think they're going to get a good return. And we'll find out in the next year or two if they start seeing those returns, and it'll be exciting if they do, because I'm very excited to watch as the esports scene grows. And this year already has been huge with ESPN and the MLG acquisition. To start off the year, we're barely into February, and it's already been a very exciting year. Geico's an advertiser now, or a sponsor, I should say, for different esports teams. But let's kind of dive into this real quick and go over what we're gonna be covering. So going back into that era, communities were growing, into the thousands of players, where they had websites, they had their own dedicated servers, they had tournaments going on, 1v1, 3v3, 5v5. I know I was a huge, I loved the 1v1 tournaments that I participated in Unreal Tournament. And also I was on a team deathmatch and capture the flag team for Unreal Tournament as well. It was lots of fun. But the biggest thing is these organizers of these communities grew. The cost, to run the websites, to be able to handle the traffic, to pay for all these dedicated servers for all these types of games. And like the community I was in, when we grew it to 8 or 10 games in 2005, and we had, we wanted to host all these tournaments, we needed money to pay for all these dedicated servers. And the community was great in the sense of a lot of those goals, in order to meet the monthly cost, was provided by donations from members within the community. We had a very good community as far as helping each other and supporting each other and growing. But it did reach a point where it was kind of too much. And the other side of the coin is when you have that many players, when we have champions of tournaments, of team tournaments, of 1v1 ladders and different things like that, we've really wanted to reward our participants and reward those players and teams for putting in the practice time. With my team specifically that I was part of, we would have 2-3 nights a week where we would practice for like 2 hours, on different strategies and stuff like that. And it's not like we were hardcore, but we still had to an organized session a couple nights a week. So, and like for me, I was in high school at the time, so I would literally like get out of school, go to sports practice, come home, and go straight to Unreal practice. So and then I do my homework afterwards and do it all over again the next day. And it was very exciting. And so what we started doing is, and the global directors started doing, is they started seeking out sponsors and advertisers. And initially, I think one of our first sponsors was Ball's energy drinks, if anyone remembers those, in the little glue glass bottles. They offered 6-packs out to the winners of 1v1 tournaments. And I know my brother got a 6-pack, which was pretty exciting at the time, and eventually grew to where we started getting mice and keyboard, and I think it was the Razer Claw was like a big hot ticket item for the 1v1 tournament in 2004. But the next thing we started getting was obviously money, and that leads to what we're going to be talking about in a little bit. Is as we started gaining these bigger names and bigger sponsors, there started to become more scrutiny over our community and over our forums and the people in charge, because these brands wanted to make sure that if they were going to put their name, attach their name to something, that it was going to be legit. So let's talk about Coca-Cola, because that was the biggest brand that we had active talks with, which was very exciting at the time. And these are direct quotes from their offer. They're going to offer us $3,000 a year to start, so it could grow. Year over year, they could start offering more money for prizes on ladders and tournaments and stuff like that. Plus, on top of that, cases and cases of beverages and other swag to winners. This was super exciting because, like, at the time, that $3,000 to offer towards as prizes for tournaments, like, that was super exciting, considering we were a big community, but we weren't on the scale of what we are today. So to get that type of money and to be able to start using that as fuel for saying, hey, this tournament, there's a $200 prize or a $500 prize for this tournament, for this game, and it's sponsored by Coca-Cola. Like, to be able to say that back in 2005 would have been amazing. And I kind of gave it away already, but would have been. As I said, Coca-Cola started really scrutinizing our community, and I can't help but think that they probably did this with a lot of other communities as well. It wouldn't surprise me, actually, because they did it to us. So I'd probably, same form everywhere else, they scrutinize them. And what bit us in the butt was, and I know other analysts and people in the esports scene have talked on this back in this era, is we were very young, inexperienced, rambunctious people who were just playing the game for fun. And the fact that we could do it in an organized fashion and start getting prizes, we were tickled pink, but that didn't mean we were professionals. That didn't mean we were knew how to act in a business-like manner in these interactions, and that bit us in the butt with, especially on our forums of our community site. Coca-Cola directly told us that the reason they pulled their offer because head admins were arguing in open forums with inappropriate language. As we know, the internet is full of inappropriate language, and the users are wonderful at trolling and being absolutely rude because of the whole anonymity. But, that bit us in the butt, because we didn't think we thought it would be common sense if someone was in an active, admin role or organizational role or referee or something like that, that they would act in a professional manner. But unfortunately, no, common sense did not reign back then. So we actually, lost this Coca-Cola deal. Another reason Coca-Cola pulled is they said admins seemingly speaking out of place where players would be, but don't, because admins spam it up and overrule public opinion with a couple of simple comments. To kind of dive into that, to where, so let's talk about Unreal Tournament, Capture the Flag forums. We would dive into, there'd be active discussions about different things, and there'd even be some trash talk and banter and stuff like that. But what was ended up happening was the forum admins and the forum moderators were participating actively in those conversations when their role was not to participate in those conversations, but to moderate them and be an overwatch. And it really kind of deteriorated really fast, and it was already deteriorated. I shouldn't say it deteriorated really fast. It was always that way. There was admins and people just talking to the forums like they would talk to anyone else, like they were players, which they were players, but at the same time, they should have taken a little more responsibility, and because of this, it bit us in the butt, and we lost Coca-Cola. And the response that accompanied the email out to all of us admins and people in charge basically summed it up as saying, this was our big shot at offering a hardcore cash and prizes for competitors. It's now gone. And to know that we had that opportunity and we lost it because we just didn't care at the time. It wasn't even a thought to buckle down and be more professional in the scene, to be more professional in the forums that, for the last couple of years, we grew ourselves. We are the players. We are the participants of these tournaments, not just the admins. We're actively playing. And in our heads, it made sense that we lost the sponsorship, but at the same time, in the process of leading up to it, we honestly, probably most of us weren't think we were doing anything wrong. It was just what we had done for years. It was just all part of the community, and no one really took that much offense to it. It was just it is what it is, unfortunately. So how this leads into today. Today, you don't see those big names still really getting into esports. Some of them are now. Like I said, Geico's getting involved as a sponsor. But Coca-Cola, to my knowledge, is only actively involved with IGN in any esports capacity. They are obviously involved in gaming in general. Obviously, we know Mountain Dew and Tostitos and stuff are actively involved with Call of Duty and things like that, but that's on the consumer side. When you get into the esports side, there's less of those big names putting their names attached to these esports organizations, these esports tournaments. Are they out there? Yes, they are. Obviously, there's energy drinks are still actively involved in esports, which is always going to be, I believe, because it's just they go hand in hand. But at the same time, I don't see Coca-Cola actively advertising with any esports organization. If they are, maybe they are, but they don't want their name produced, and they're just throwing some money at it, as a trial basis or something. But that's just my speculation. And this year may be the defining moment. As we get venture capitalism and as we get more people investing into esports, those big names are probably going to take a look again, like they looked at us back in 2005. And I'm sure that, the prejudices that we set back in 2005 makes people like Coca-Cola hesitant to get involved in esports again, because there is still a lot of that in the scene, and there's still a lot of that in the scene for people that are in roles of responsibility and administration, and some of these owners even don't act, or they still act in those same ways that lost us our sponsorship back in 2005. So it's one of those things that as we go into this new era of esports where we're getting more money, more investments. I think I saw a figure that esports scene is going to generate over $500 million this year is predicted, and next year hopefully it'll be close to $1 billion. That's exciting, but at the same time we need to remember the mistakes of the past and what lost us money in the past, and that is people in roles of responsibility not being professional, not taking responsibility for their actions and especially their words. That kind of wraps up the video for today, for the first episode, Esports Meditation. You could find me on Twitter at Bowmanshoota. You could find me on Twitch at Bowmanshoota. I'm going to start streaming some random games here coming up, but I'm hoping to do some more interviews and hopefully doing some live interviews coming up, because I have a few connections in the works right now that we're going to be talking about these things, talking about different aspects of esports. And I really hope you guys check out more of these videos as they come out. Go ahead and share, like this, and favorite as you see fit, and you guys have a wonderful day.